Yo, what's up, everyone? My name is OP, and today I'm going to show you how to create a responsive navbar using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. I'm going to do a quick demo of the nav. When I hover over the navigation links, the background changes color and it has a nice transition. As mentioned already, the navbar is also responsive. So if I go to the console and change screen width, this hamburger icon pops up, and when I click on it, the links drop down. So with that said, let's get started. So I'm in VS Code. I'm going to start by creating a HTML file, and I'll call it index.html. I'll run exclamation tab to generate the HTML template. And for the title, I'm just going to say responsive navbar. So inside of the body, I'll create a nav and I'll give it the class of navbar. And inside of the nav, I'll create an unordered list and a list item. Inside of that, I'll give it the value of home. I'll copy this and paste it 3 more times below. Here I'll say about. Here's services. And contact. So next I need to create a style sheet, and I'll call it style.css. In index.html, I'll type link, tab, and for the href, I'll just say style.css. And in style.css, we first of all need to import the font we're going to use, which is Poppins. So I'll go to Google and type in Google Fonts, Poppins. And we need regular 400. So I'll select it here. And I'll copy this URL and paste it just there. I also need to do a CSS reset, so I'll run star margin 0, padding 0, and box sizing border box. And by default, I'll give everything a font family of Poppins. Next, I need to, actually, I'll just open it in live server just to see how it looks so far. And it looks pretty good. I need to add the logo. So just here, I'm going to create a H1 and give it the value of logo. Next, I need to style the navbar. So navbar, I'll give it display flex to push it onto a row. Justify content center, space between, sorry, to separate the logo and the nav links. And align items center. For the padding, I'll give it 1 rem on the top or bottom and 3 rem on the left and right. And I'm just going to add a background color. So background 0F 0E 0E. And I'm just going to give the color, just going to say color white. Next, I'll style the H1, make it a little bit bigger. So I'll say font size 1.75 rem. And if I look in live server, yep, looks good. I need to style the nav links next. So underneath the H1, I'll say UL, give a display flex to push it onto a row, and then list style none, just to get rid of the bullet points. And also the links are a bit too close together, so I'll style each individual link. So I'll say li margin left 1 rem, cursor and pointer, so that when we hover over each nav link, the pointing icon pops up. And transition, I'm just going to give it 0.2 seconds. For the padding, I'll say 0.5 rem on the top and bottom, and 1 rem on the left and right. I'll also give them border radius of 30 pixels. So next, we need to add some styling when we hover over each link item. So I'll say li hover, give it a background of F10086. And yeah, so if we look in live server and hover over each link, it looks pretty smooth. So that's it for the styling of this screen width. What I'll do is I'll go into the console, and at a certain point, I want to decrease the padding in the navbar. So maybe 820, yeah, we'll say 825 pixels. So at media, max width of 825 pixels. For the navbar, we'll just say padding 1 rem all around. Looks good. So at a certain point, I want the links to drop down. So I'll say, yeah, 530 pixels should be good. So at 530 pixels, I want the links to drop down. So in style.css, I'll just go below the media query we created and create a new one. So media, max width, 530 pixels. And the navbar will say flex direction of column. We'll align the items to the start, so flex start. And we'll give the navbar position a relative. Next, we need to style the unordered lists. So unordered list, flex direction column, align the items to the center, and we'll give it a width of 100%. And if I look in live server, yep, that looks good. The links are a bit too close together, so we'll style that next. So underneath the unordered list, I'll say li. We'll give a margin 0.5 rem on the top and bottom, and 0 on the left and right. And if I look in live server again, yep, looks much better. So next, we need to add the hamburger icon. So to do that, we need font awesome, and we need to import that. So I'll go to font awesome. And if you don't have an account, you can get started for free you just have to enter your email and they will send you the kit code that you'll use. But for me, I already have an account, so I'll sign in. And I'll click on my kit and copy the kit code. So I'll go back to VS Code and paste it just above the closing body tag. So we also need the icon. So I need to go to icons and type in hamburger. And I think it's this one right here. Yep. I'll just copy the code snippet and go back to VS Code, paste it just above the logo. And I'll go to the live server just to see how it looks. It doesn't seem to be showing. Not sure why. Oh, it was just loading. So yeah, that looks pretty good. I don't want it to show at this point, so I'm just gonna style that. Go to style.css and just above the navbar, say I, display none by default, and we'll say important to override the default styling. Nice. So we actually want the icon to show at this point when the nav legs collapse. So I'll go back to style.css and down here, just gonna say I, display block, and we'll make it important. We'll give it a position of absolute, which will make it relative to the navbar. And we'll say from the right, 18 pixels. And from the top, 22 pixels. And we'll make it a little bit bigger as well. So font size, 1.75 rem. And if we look in live server, yeah, that looks good. So at this screen width, we also don't want the links to show. We only want it to show when we click on the hamburger icon. So by default, I'll say the unordered list should have a max height of 0 and overflow of hidden, so that the contents inside don't overspill. And we'll add a transition as well. So transition, max height, 0.5 seconds. Okay, that looks good. So we want it so that when we click, the nav legs drops. And to do that, we need to use JavaScript. So I'll go back to VS Code and create a JavaScript file. I'll call it app.js. In index.html, we need to link to the JavaScript file we just created. So script source, app.js. And first we need to get the unordered list. So I'll create a variable const ul equals document.querySelector, which will be that unordered list. Next, we need to get the icon. So I'll say document.querySelector, and it has a class of fa-bars. We also need to add an event listener, and we'll listen for a click. I'll put an empty function right here. And when we click on the hamburger icon, we want to toggle that class. So I'll say ul.classList.toggle, and we'll put toggle. And what class list toggle does is it adds and removes this class. We actually need to create this class. So in style.css, just below the hover, I'll give the toggle a max height of 300 pixels. And if I go back to live server and click here, the links drop down. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.